Hello and welcome to the Ravensburger Games YouTube channel. My name is Sam and today we are going to be talking about how to teach board games because in my opinion there is nothing more daunting than when you're getting ready for game night and you're the one who's going to be doing the teaching, and oftentimes people don't even know where to start. How do you frame the rules of the game in order for players to understand the game easily? Well, today we're going to be going through how I do it, and hopefully this is valuable to you as well. We are going to be using Disney Villainous as an example for all of my tips and strategies on how to teach games, but all of these are going to work for any game, no matter what it is. All right, let's go ahead and jump right in to my first tip on how to teach board games. To start off teaching a board game, I always like to begin with the big picture, and that's going to be the theme and also the player's objective. For example, if I was teaching Disney Villainous, I often say, we are going to be playing Disney Villainous, and in this game, we are the villains and we are trying to complete our nefarious goals. However, in this game, every player has a different objective. So for example, Captain Hook might be trying to defeat Peter Pan at the Jolly Roger, whereas Prince John, he doesn't care about that at all. He's just trying to collect 20 power, which is the money in this game. Do you see how that gives a good framework to understand why you're here and also what your goal is for the game? This is just a good way to kind of preface all of that and get players engaged in what they are about to join in on at the table. Now, I am a proponent of one of two ways for the kind of setup process. One way is that with some games, you should just have the game completely set up before players get there. And this is especially true with more complex games, I would say. But for most games, I think you can kind of set up the game, and as you are setting it up, you can explain the components. But generally at this time, I want to highlight some of those common components that players are going to be using. So for example, as I'm pulling out the cauldron, I might say, this is the cauldron. This is going to be carrying all of the power tokens that the players are going to use in this game. And these power tokens are going to be the currency that the villains are going to collect throughout the game. This is the player board. Each player has a unique one to their villain, and then you can go ahead and kind of deal those out. This is your mover, and this is going to represent the villain. This is also going to show you which actions you have available by moving it around once per turn. So you see how as I'm kind of pulling out the components, I'll be explaining a little bit of what they do and how they operate. And this helps kind of give a framework for what the players are actually seeing and how it interconnects with the goal and the theme of the game. So once the players know the theme, the objective, and a good overview of some of the game's most important components, then I want to move on to teaching the core mechanics first. This is where you're going to be focusing on the main actions that a player has on their turn. And for this, I would actually skip edge case rules as well as niche exceptions, and I would wait to talk about those as they are encountered throughout the game. But for example, I might say, on your turn, you're going to take your mover and you're going to move it from one location on your player board to a different location. And when you do that, you are going to have access to all of the actions on that space. Here's a reference card that shows you what each action generally will do. You can see that you can gain power from this symbol. This symbol will allow you to play a card from your hand, and this symbol will allow you to discard cards. You can use any of these actions in any order. Then on your next turn, you have to move to a different location and you get access to new and interesting actions to take. So you see that we're not going into super depth onto how each of these work, but I am giving an overview of the core mechanics of the game. And next, I will always do this no matter what game it is. I will always do an example turn. So I will literally demonstrate an entire turn or two, and I will always be the first player. That way every player can watch how it works on their turn. This will really help all of the previous learned mechanics come to light as they see someone who knows how to play the game make their turn. And lastly, we play a test round, which is what I call the learn by playing. I let everyone know that we are going to be playing a round of the game, but let's not try to be competitive with this round. Let's just try to get the basics of the game, and I will be right behind them, making sure that I'm helping them throughout their turn if they have any individual questions. I also usually try to encourage players to try new actions for the first time. That way they get to see how they work. So if a game really does have different options of things to do on your turn, I try to encourage players to try the different things. That way everyone around the table can get a good idea of how they operate. After everyone has played at least one practice round, I would start playing the game from there and let the game play out. And usually by the end, players are going to have a good grasp of the game, but also with the way that you taught them previously, if they have any questions, they have a good framework to go back to. What's the theme? What's the objective, and what are the mechanics that I have available to me, and what can I do on my turn? But hey, I hope that this proved valuable for you, and I hope that this allowed you to be more confident to teach more board games. Do you have anything else to add? Because if you do, I would love to hear your ideas down below if you want to go ahead and leave a comment. But that's all I got for you today. Thank you so much for watching. Bye bye.